Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com. All right, how we doing, everybody? Make it 3 consecutive wins for the Edmonton Oilers, despite the fact they're missing some pretty key pieces from their lineup. And yes, quality of competition taken into account tonight, they still managed to get the job done. But some concern floating around out there because the big guy, Leon Draisaitl, left this game with an injury. Welcome to Got Your Back, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Jason Strudwick will be along in just a moment. We got Chris Sabunia at the controls in Kelowna, and Rob Brown, once he finishes up his post-game show on Ched, will hop on in to the show as well. Looking forward to a good one tonight. As always, our show brought to you by our title sponsor, Play Alberta. When you gamble, use your game sense. Play Alberta makes it easy to set deposit limits, time limits, and more, so you can play casino games and bet on sports safely, the right way, securely, responsibly. Everything you need to know is at playalberta.ca. Coming at you from our Adrenaline Diesel studio. If you need a part manufactured, replicated, or repaired, Adrenaline Diesel has you covered with their brand new machine shop. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. As we welcome in the gentlemen, Struds, I thought I was going to escape it. This is one of those cold and flu seasons where everybody, like so many people, got it in the voice. You had it. Your voice disappeared for a while. I'm not sure it's going to get me, but you can probably hear it's coming on. So I'm going to, I'll push through, but might not have my usual energetic, boisterous tone tonight.
The pep. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's everywhere, right? You're hearing it and lingers for a little while, but then you get past it. But yeah, just one last little grab at us as we try to get through this the winter.
I figured like a tea or something is needed, Zuby. Are you a tea guy? I feel like tea is supposed to help with this.
A little bit. You know what I like? Hot honey and lemon. I like hot water with honey and a little squirt of lemon juice in there, and it's sweet and it's sour, and I don't know. That's the one that does it for me when I feel something coming on. Kind of the same flavor as Neocitrin. You can just have one of those and fall right asleep as well. That's another option.
Oh, yeah.
But I drink tea occasionally, but not for feeling ill.
Yeah, for sure. So just set the table a little bit here. We want to get going because it was such a late start tonight. So Zuby is going to pay attention to the Oilers Plus feed for any updates that Chris Knobloch has on Leon Draisaitl. Here is my sense of what's going on. I think Leon Draisaitl is going to miss some games, but I don't think this is something that puts playoffs in jeopardy in any way, shape, or form. So I think most likely we'll be hearing about a minor injury and they'll play it safe. And Draisaitl will likely miss a few games here, so wouldn't expect him to be available against the LA Kings. Don't know how many, but I don't get the sense that we're dealing with something significant here, Struds, which is, it's not ideal, but I think it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I wonder where it happened. You know, there was that sequence where he stepped on the puck when behind the net, and I'm not saying that is or isn't, but the problem with something like that, it's so unpredictable, right? You don't know in your body. When you see someone coming, you kind of brace for impact, but when you step on a puck, it's like someone throws a banana peel and you just go down. And so your body's not ready for it, and you're not ready for it.
Do you think that's what it was the stepping on the puck? He hopped up quick from that and seemed okay. I thought Struds is a guy with a bad back and like the hips of an 80-year-old. That first fall, that's one that I went like, oh, that looked like a whiplashy, really hard, awkward fall on that trip.
In the neutral zone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he had some awkward falls today and some awkward exchanges. Like it was a weird one for him. You know, he's usually so just sure on his feet and strong on his feet. And you know, those types of nights happen with just bad luck. So it could have been any one of those. But it's just I always thought it was the awkward ones that I was like, are you kidding me? I tweaked my back or tweaked whatever on an awkward fall. So it could have been any one of those we just highlighted.
For sure. If you go to about 16:23 of the second period, they've got a shot of the bench, and you probably saw it too, Struds. TD Force comes down. Now, Draisaitl was on the side of the shot, and you can see TD talking to Draisaitl, and Draisaitl covered his mouth and said something. And TD, you could see him reach over and grab his shoulder, and Draisaitl kind of did one of these, like kind of twisted, like he was testing out his torso or his lower back or something like that. So, again, we're going to play a doctor on the internet here. But it looks that was a really hard fall. And he had multiple hard falls on that left hip and buttocks area.
I'm on WebMD describing the falls right now, so see if I can get anything out of that.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sorry, Struddy.
No, you're 100% just awkward, right? Anything's awkward. It's just, you can't help it, right? Just, he had one of those nights tonight.
Yeah. So listen, we're going to get to our breakdown in just a minute here. Seeing lots of mentions already in our live stream here on YouTube. R.I.P. Bruce. Lots of love for the late Bruce McCurdy. People talking about how much they're going to miss his player grades tonight. Never in doubt. There's a beautiful one from Terry Palmer. R.I.P. Bruce. Hashtag never in doubt from Stephen Petruk. Obviously, this was a tough week. It's ready. We addressed it on your show yesterday, but this is our first sort of main Got Your Back pod, since we got news. So I just think in this moment, post-game, this is when the cult of hockey would be firing up, so we're thinking about David Staples right now. We're thinking about the listeners who would love to be firing up with the fellas right now and looking forward to their podcast, thinking about his family. It's been a really tough couple of days, and it just sucks. But it's also beautiful seeing some of these messages in here. A lot of people are thinking about him right now, Struds.
David Staples had a great article today in the Journal, and he didn't really comment at this time on his own feelings, other than wishing good thoughts to his family. But he kind of highlighted a lot of other people, what they said about him, and the main thing was how nice of a man he was, and how much of a historian of the Edmonton Oilers he was. And, what a legacy for any of us when we pass to have those two things follow us.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely thinking a lot about Bruce McCurdy here tonight. I asked a question to Ray and Dregs on the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast today in honor of Bruce. And I'm going to ask you guys the same question tonight, Struds, because Bruce was a guy that he did a lot of extra work in the name of uncovering stats that were beyond what was sort of readily available in the public. So they, as we know, they did their player grades over at the Cult of Hockey that were just so well done. And so in honor of Bruce, I fired a question at Ray and Dregs today, and I'll fire that at you and Rob Brown once Brownie joins us here on the show in a little bit. So with that said, let's move on to our breakdown, and that is brought to you by the Alberta Ram dealers. It's the Ram Motor Trend Celebration event. Lease a 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab. How about this? Only $139 weekly at 2.49% financing for 42 months. See your Alberta Ram dealer today. That's a lot of truck at a pretty good interest rate and a pretty good price. So check out your Alberta Ram dealer today. Okay, Struds, having dealt with this Leon...
Breaking news. Yep. Breaking news. No update. Haven't talked to the training staff.
I know.
From the mouth of the coach.
From the mouth of the coach. I always want to say, Chris, we're good. Go talk to the trainer. We'll wait. We're good to wait another 4 minutes. Go talk to the trainer. But, they're not. It's a handy excuse post-game to be able to say. So we've addressed the Draisaitl injury here, Struds. I don't know, what would your headline be about this game and the fact that the Oilers, without Draisaitl for about half of it, against an inferior team, but this is another win for them and a pretty solid one.
And we see other guys continue to contribute. Now, it should be said, Draisaitl's line was good, really good. They were passing the puck around. Podkolzin, Arvidsson, and Drysdale, they were really playing well. I think Podkolzin was really, really having a good game. He was carrying the puck, retrieving pucks, making plays. The pass off the rush came down. If you didn't see the game, he was driving through the middle. way off behind him was Leon. He threw a perfect pass onto Draisaitl's stick, and Draisaitl didn't quite finish it. But I mean, it was a great play. Good save. Good save. But you see Arvidsson scored tonight. We see Skinner scored tonight, and their line was very, very good. Skinner, Janmark, and of course Connor Brown. Brown's speed to the neutral zone. I mean, he skates fast, but that was really fast. Split the D-men.
Yeah.
So a lot of contributions away from obviously Connor and Leon tonight.
Let's talk about that Connor Brown goal. That was like 20 goal scorer Connor Brown of a number of years ago. A really nice feed from Skinner. But I don't know, was it just me or did he have just a little bit more giddy up? Like he played that from the blue line in like a 30 goal scorer.
Confident. When he shot, he was so confident. Put it over top the glove. Just because it's like where's that been? I felt like he took an extra second before he made his move, and he was just confident. Like, this is my shot. I'm going to score it here. We see guys like Connor McDavid do that, or Leon Draisaitl do that. We haven't seen that from Connor Brown much, if at all. And that was a very confident goal scorer's goal. So I wonder what this does for him, moving forward the next, what have they got? 7 games left, buddy?
Yeah. And I thought that the guys on the broadcast, sort of pointed out like this line trying to make a case for itself to potentially, be together, be a reliable line that could even potentially stay together come playoff time. So I like that from Connor Brown. That was a nice little uptick there in his offensive confidence. And he just looked like a goal scorer there. And really like that feed from Skinner. Nice patient feed from Jeff Skinner at the blue line there. I guess we might as well just go through the goals a little bit here. The 1-1 goal. And by the way, I thought Pickard obviously had a great night, and we will talk about him and his play. But it seemed to me, Struds, like on that 1-1 goal, is it just me? Or did he stay down for no reason? Like from the time the puck was behind the net, played all the way back out, he never got up. And then he got beat over his shoulder. So that felt to me like one where I was like, and Zuby, you can feel free to chime in here if you saw it. Felt to me like he should have been on his feet challenging that. And he was on his knees watching it go over his shoulder, Struds.
Yeah, Jackie Thompson, there was nobody around him. Like, Pod Colson, I think, lost his guy. And so that's the challenge about when the puck's behind the net, your focus is on the puck and it opens up people behind you. But it was clear to me that I'm pretty sure that was Pod Colson guy that just walks down Main Street and just hammers the puck. No one was really watching him. And that's just that puck watching you hear people talk about all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so at that point, it's 1-1. We push through to the second period. And Victor Arvidsson finds himself on the power play. And, like, he's done this a few times this year, Struds. Like, I know he's got 3 goals. I think it's just 3 straight games here. But he scored a couple of goals this year where he wires it, and you're like, how is this guy not scoring more goals with this shot? And this was one of those. He just absolutely wires it from a prime sugar spot on the power play. And it was a beautiful goal, a confidence-building goal for a guy.
So I don't have these stats now. Maybe someone out there does have some stats. I feel like Arvidsson, when he's shooting his one-timers, he is too far away from the net or too far outside the dots. So he loves that slapper. He loves that one-time slapper, and he shoots it from everywhere. But he gets so far out, it's a long way. Goalies are fast enough to get across and get it. In this case, he got himself in a position right in the slot, and he was wide open. Like that was practice open that he was when he shot that puck, and Leon finds him. But he was between the dots. He was in a shooting area, and he can score from there. He can score from, I don't know, what was that, around the top of the circles or so? Yep, he can score. He's got a good enough shot from there. But shooting from outside the dots at that same height, the top of the circles, it's not going in. So I'd like to see him set up shop more often between the dots and try to get shots from there rather than from so far out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's interesting because you're right. I mean, he has scored from quite a distance. It has worked. Usually it's a pretty crisp pass that has the goalie really having to push hard from right to left or left to right or whatever. So it's not like he's beating a stationary goaltender clean with it. But he's had a couple of nice ones. So, and he's found his goal scoring touch here a little bit, Struds. Like
Huge.
a nice little run here late in the season for this player of whom so much was expected.
Oh, well, we were expecting north of 20 goals. I thought both him and Skinner would be north of 20, right? That was my floor for those guys. So now they're probably not going to get there, but I can fairly confidently say they'll both be 15 plus, right? Maybe Arvidsson, that might be a little optimistic. He's at 13, but you get the point. So they're, combined about 10 goals short that's the floor that I had for them. So, are they heating up at the right time? That sure is the case. And even when they were playing, whether Leon or Nuge, they're still going. So I think there's a case to be made for these guys to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, Corey Perry went and grabbed those other 10 goals. That's where they went. He ended up probably with that extra 10 we weren't expecting.
Yeah, to backfill a little bit. But they need these guys. They need, Skinner scoring. And that line, you make the mention about Lou, I think, said it on the broadcast. I do think that those three are making a case to play together. Now, the problem is that your third line? Is that your fourth line? What line is that? Because Henrique is right now what I'd call the fourth line with one player who will not be in the lineup when playoffs start, and then Corey Perry. So, are they trying to check this out? Like, is it going to be Kane, Perry, and Henrique when the playoffs start? Then that other line, and then Trent Frederick moves up somewhere. Like people have got to come out of this lineup. We're looking now at 3 guys at least that are coming out. So that's a lot of people that are going to have to move out.
Yeah, for sure. 2-2 goal. We talked the other night we actually all argued about a play involving Evan Bouchard where I think Brownie and I felt like he had played it a little goofy. You maybe disagreed a little bit, but I don't think there's much debate on this one tonight, Stress. This was not a great look for Bouch in front of his
completely different situation. The back checker identifies his player early and tracks back on that guy, and he has him, and he has him far enough outside that you shouldn't be worried about it. Whereas the previous one, Max Jones, he just skates right by his guy, doesn't even try to check him. So, in that situation where it's not a breakaway threat, and you can see that the forward is going to, at the very worst, push him to a point where it's going to be a bad shot, that you have to back off. The forwards made that choice. Bouchard turns his toes directly at that guy and leaves Toffoli wide open. 100% he could have played this differently. So, I was getting some chirps I could see on Twitter. And I'm like, there are 2 completely different situations because of the work the forward did. Max Jones versus, I don't know if that was Nuge, I think, or maybe it was Puck Holden, doesn't matter. The different play by the forward, and the D-man, you have to read off that. So as much as I was criticizing the forwards before, this is one that's the D needs to play differently, 100%.
Well, look at you. And by the way, folks, Struddy spending some time in his mentions tonight. I like that, Struddy. You're digging in there, seeing what the people be saying about you.
Well, no, they hit. No, it's just they're hitting me up, and I get it, and I get it. So I was adamant. I will not back down that position. Brownie and I actually argued about it when we were on the ice together this week about that goal, about why it was still not right, and most people agreed with me. Brownie's just a stubborn forward, but in this case, I'm willing to say, yeah, you're 100% right. I'll back off, and that's a different situation. So credit the forward, not the D.
Have you noticed? And I'll say this to his face when he joins us. We have not changed Rob Brown's mind on a single point on this show in the 2 years that we've had him on. He has not changed his mind. Like when Brownie decides, Brownie locks it in and he fights for his life, which is what makes him a great podcast co-host.
He does, but a stubborn forward. All forwards are stubborn, right? We just have to accept that, especially goal scorers. Goal scorers are a different breed, right? They're a completely different breed.
I opened Pandora's box for you there. All right, Struddy, soften up those lips with the chapstick, and we will get to the Weiss Johnson digital inbox, brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. If it's time for a new furnace, garage heater, or hot water tank, or if you're looking to beat the rush on getting a new AC put in for this summer, make sure you check out Weiss Johnson, specializing in servicing your existing mechanical systems or installing new ones. They're here for all your home comfort needs. Visit weiss-johnson.com. Today, jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
All right, a quick look inside the Weiss Johnson inbox. A little more love for Bruce McCurdy. Just Me says, I love the phrase that Bruce used for these types of games. Hang on, Harvey! Exclamation point. Paulie, I remember I called him Mr. French one time. He laughed. He had a great sense of humor. On another note, Blommer, the Blomski, the Blominator chimes in and says, if this podcast existed in 1986 and Steve Smith scored on his own net, Struddy would blame the back check.
You know what? For that, he's going to be called Matt for a week.
Oh,
Matt.
Oh, you're taking the nickname away.
It's removed, at least from me. That's incorrect,
Wow.
Matt. And you know it. This is another thing that people, they just get, they always side with the forwards. They don't ever look at the D side of it. So today I was critical of Bush. Last game, I wasn't critical of him because it wasn't his fault. You have to look at every situation differently, right? It's always different. So Matt,
Yeah.
although that is a fairly funny comment, you're getting Matt, maybe even Matthew for the rest of the week.
Okay, so
you
Matthew
have been demoted to Matt.
Yeah, you've been demoted to Matt. So Matt also adds, quote, all forwards are stubborn, end quote. Jason Strudwick, a typical comment. Lauren the Alchemist chimes in, noting and observing Rishaug is starting to look tired. Can confirm, Lauren. A little tired tonight. It's all good, though. Pushing through.
Just Matt. Yeah.
What else? Oh, actually, JL points out, I made the point that Brownie never changes his mind. And he said Brownie changed his favorite Val Kilmer movie just last show. That is true. He was going to go Top Gun. And then you dropped, what was it?
Tombstone. I mean, Tombstone. If you don't say Tombstone, I don't know. You haven't seen the movie, right? If you have, I mean, come on.
Matt says, such an insult. I'm so hurt. So he's feeling the sting. Not Matthew. He asks, that was what I was only called when my parents were mad at me. Well, that's Matthew. Right.
That's the way it is.
The shoe fits tonight, Matthew. You're going to wear that shoe.
Wear it, Matthew.
Hey, if you want to go at something here on the stream, we got an early little argument going on. Oil Leak is very adamant that he feels Leon was rushed back. This is a tweak of something that was already there, and that the Oilers are just chasing personal goals, chasing points. I don't agree with that, and nor do. But he's pretty. That's his opinion, in which he's entitled to, as he stated. Do you have any reaction to that?
Struds, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you. I'd have to know exactly what the previous injury was, and I know what this one is to be it. Now, I felt the first one was hamstring. This one looked a little higher up. Are they related? Yeah, there can be some imbalance, and maybe it can go on. But I'll say this: they're good trainers. Those guys that they have are really good trainers, and they're looking ahead. They're not micromanaging. Leon was always going to get his 50th goal. There's 100%. So I have a hard time thinking that they're trying to push Leon to get more points. They've stated they don't care about that. They're trying to win a cup. So I understand it, and it's frustrating to see another good player leave or the same good player leave. But I have a hard time believing, Schauger, that knowing this staff and what their goals are, that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in listening to them comment about the original injury, I think if they had a do-over, they would have shut him down the minute he felt a little bit off that night. But the player wanted to go, and the player's going to push through. They rode him pretty hard, up over 20 minutes on a night where I think he was a little bit banged up. But he was at 49 goals, right? And, and he had the streak going and all that. So I think if they had a do-over, maybe you play that one a little bit different. But I just think he got beat around tonight, Struds. Like, he took a few really hard falls and some awkward stuff. And so, I mean, are they potentially related? Maybe. But I don't know that more time off would have made it so that there's no chance you can, tweak it or I just think he had a rough night tonight. But again, as I said before, my early sense on it is that we're talking a few games here, but nothing that's going to put playoffs in jeopardy. And I don't think you want Draisaitl's next game to be the first game of the playoff, Struds. Like, you wouldn't want him to sit for 2 weeks before the playoffs start, would you?
It's Leon Draisaitl. I mean, if that's what it takes, I think I can probably live with it. I think that what is the challenge is that unfortunately, the Oilers are really not unfortunately. Fortunately, they're winning, and they've put themselves back in this conversation here of trying to win, or maybe not win the division, but win second place, because they have 2 games against the Kings. And so I'm guessing the next game on Saturday afternoon, of which we'll have a pod after, no Leon, no Connor, no Kane. I don't know, maybe Trent Frederick. I don't know. No Ekholm, no Stu Skinner. That's a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines when you do have a good shot or a chance to finish second.
Yeah.
And FYI on that, I'm listening a little bit more to Knobloch. Someone asked him, do you think you might have Frederick for Saturday? And he said, very unlikely.
Okay.
He didn't think that was happening.
Yeah. Awesome update. Thanks for that, Zuby. Did you see the video of McDavid and Frederick going at it in practice, those Struts?
Yeah.
Like McDavid looked like he was grinding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like he looked like he looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going pretty hard. Yeah. That looked to me like that was like a game day effort to come back, right? Like that they're testing, when you're injured, what happens is they get you on the ice and you just start skating around with tracksuit. Then you kind of maybe just put your gear on, start going a little harder, and they keep ramping up. The last piece is what we saw there, where there was some contact and some physicality.
Okay, we've been running our way through the game here, going goal to goal to goal, and then we forgot to do the winning goal. So an even strength goal from Skinner. Could have been multiple tips there, Struddy, but what did you like about that as a game winner?
Going to the net. I absolutely love the fact that 2 players were going to the net, and Skinner was the one on the inside. I love that. I mean, there's a segment of the fan base that are unhappy with how much Oilers shoot from the point. And yeah, I agree. It's their default. They pass it back to the D all the time. And it's easy because, forwards track lower, and then you can throw it up high and they can do what they need to do. I would like to see the players from the Oilers attack more from below the goal line, attack the net with the puck rather than deferring to passing it up all the time. Because as a defender, I would rather you just pass it up there, because now I can kind of seal you and hopefully continue to have some time for the puck goes to the net. So that's not really what you asked, but I like that the Oilers players are going to that after that puck went to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes lots of sense. Lower percentage shots from the blue line. And the Oilers have a ton of them this year. So I agree. I've heard some of that commentary as well. And I wonder if it's being coached. I wonder if that's something that they're wanting to do. If you're going to ask your players to do that, you absolutely have to have people going to the net more often than the Oilers have. And that goal, bit of an ugly one, a beautiful, ugly goal. It ends up being the game winner, giving the Oilers their 3rd consecutive goal. Okay, Struds, let's get to our UCAN Youth Services Relentless Player of the Night. As we know, UCAN is an Edmonton charity, relentless in helping youth age 16 to 24 get out of harm's way and find employment. Visit ucan.ca to see how your donation can change lives right here in our community. Who you got tonight, Struddy?
I know I haven't had this individual at all in this, so this is a first timer, so get ready to write this down. The injury bug is the relentless player. They have this, I'm not sure if it's a they or them or him or her, but really think about the last couple of years, even 3 years. I don't remember seeing this many top flight Oilers out at the same time. So it's been relentless. The old injury bug has been relentless on the Oilers, even as the far that the guy they traded for is injured before they even got him, and he hasn't played either. So pretty crazy. This has got to be hopefully kind of getting the last one out, and now players start coming back.
Yeah, well, better to have it hit now than early in the playoffs, and you hope everybody gets to rest up and a lot of these guys will be playing with other bumps and bruises that will also have a chance to heal. And those won't compound as the playoffs start. So residual benefit there, certainly not ideal, but most teams have to deal with it. The Oilers have been pretty spoiled here for the last couple of seasons. All right, that was our breakdown brought to you by the Alberta Ram Dealers. A quick break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Cal Pickard and lots more musings on tonight's result. Robbie Brown will be joining us here in the not-too-distant future, so plenty ahead here on the pod. Stay with us.
Ready to go all in this season? Mr. Dirk's got you covered with express on-site tailoring, a wide selection of craftsman-made suits, sport coats, and casual staples for every occasion. Score big with Mr. Dirk. We've always got your back. Visit us off White Ave, south of 102nd Street, or browse online at mrdirk.com.
If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca.
At Gallery Dental, we believe in blending exceptional care with artistry to create the perfect smile for you. From routine cleanings to advanced cosmetic procedures, our team is dedicated to providing top-notch care in a relaxed and comfortable environment. With state-of-the-art technology and a passion for perfection, we ensure that every visit is a positive experience. Join the Gallery Dental family and let us help you achieve a smile that you'll love to show off. Contact us today at secolandentistry.com.
All right, time now for takeaways brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. Your tractor deserves a sidekick. From buckets to mowers, pallet forks to tillers. Transform your tractor to get the job done smarter and faster with Frontier attachments designed to turn your everyday machine into a multitasking workhorse. Find the right attachment today from Horizon Ag and Turf, your local John Deere dealer. Highlighted by a save right at the end of the night, Struds. Pretty solid performance from Cal Pickard. Didn't love the first one on him. But again, you know, make some saves that you might not expect him to, which is, I mean, that's what you want from your guy.
Yeah, you know, he just keeps going on. What is the stat they put up there? I think that's his first time he's ever played 4 games in a row as a starter. And maybe I misread that. But, I mean, he's a 32-year-old guy, and this guy is, you know, he's one of the reasons they're continue to have success or tread water here when they have so many injuries, including to their starting netminder. So his confidence must be growing. He made some really huge saves, and it's not always the most technically sound way of doing it, but he's getting it done. Like that save he made at the end you're talking about, he's in the right position. He reads the game so well. He's always kind of understanding where the puck's trying to go or where they're trying to put it, and he seems to be in the way. That's how I really define his style of play. He's in the way.
In the way, yeah.
And that's, I don't mean that sounds disrespectful. It doesn't mean to be, but I think it's just respectful how smart of a goalie he is and understanding the game in front of him.
Like Chris Knobloch, when he talks about Pickard, even said the other day, like what he lacks in his technical skills, he makes up for in. So, I mean, I don't think there's any secret about the way the guy plays net. And it's working for him. He continues to have a real solid season here for the Oilers. Meanwhile, at the other end, Struds, not a bad night for old Georgi Romanov.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know a lot about him. Big guy. And he made some pretty good saves, you know, and some really strong saves, actually. There was a toe save on Stetcher off the rush deep in the third. I'm kind of going out of order here, but and then there was the pass we mentioned earlier from Paul Colson to Leon, and Leon got pretty good wood on there, but he read it well. So I think that there's, you know, they've got some young goalies there, obviously Askarov, they've got Romanov. They're dipping pretty heavy into the Russian goalie pool, which probably isn't the worst thing. They've got some pretty good goalies coming out of that country. But I thought he had a really good game, and, you know, he did get pounded last game against the Kings, bounced back tonight and kept it at 3. You know, honestly, that's, you know, you keep the Oilers at 3, even though they don't have their full lineup. He'll take it as a coach.
Yeah, for sure. What'd you make of the all the kids over there, the Celebrini and company? And always fun to watch them. Keep an eye on his progress.
Fun. You know, as I was watching him, it reminded me so much of when, you know, I played with Taylor Hall and Eberle. And I think Horkoff was their center quite a bit. Just running and gunning all over the place, making plays. Like it's a lot of fun to watch. And they're so talented. They want to come in and get points, and then they start figuring out as they get a little bit older, right, that there's other parts of the game. But they're talented and they can pass the puck. And Toffoli really, you know, he's going to have a career year playing with them. So that's pretty good. Yeah. So Smith and Celebrini, they're going to be, you know, really good players to watch, but so talented. So they got a couple there. Eklund, another one. You know, if you squint really hard, you can see maybe a light at the end of the tunnel down a ways, but there's still a long ways to go.
Yeah, the Oilers will have they got one more look at the Sharks. Oh no, they got two more looks at the Sharks this year.
Two Sharks,
bizarre.
Kings.
That's weird scheduling, eh? 2 Kings, 2 Sharks, right at the end of the year.
Yeah,
these games against.
So I mean, you look at what they got. 7 games left. If they can split the Kings and get these two, that's it's 6 points out of 14. The Blues, they won't be a tap in, but they've got a chance.
All right, let's get to our YouTube poll. Brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Sorry about that. 2025 equipment is now fully loaded and ready to rock and roll. DeBoer's is booking fitting 10 days in advance. So give them a call, get your spot. If you want to get some new gear, some new clubs, get in there for a fitting. Play your best by the team dedicated to helping you play better golf. Visit them at 5311 99th Street in Edmonton. That is DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center. Zuby, looking ahead to the playoffs with this one.
Yeah, so the question is, who do you get the feeling might be saving their best hockey for the playoffs? I wanted it to be guys who we just, Shogger, you and I talked a little bit about maybe having Stu Skinner on there. I kind of want it to be guys who are playing right now so that we're seeing them. Yeah. Maybe that's what's giving us the feeling. So the choices are Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, Evan Bouchard, or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. We've had some write-in votes already for Connor McDavid, and I think again that's I think the expectation is that he's a playoff performer, and we've had some all of the above suggestions already as well. So that would obviously be a huge boon to the Oilers if all 4 of those guys were saving their best for the playoffs. So who knows? Maybe it happens. But those are the choices here tonight. Struddy?
What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. That's a great question. You know what? Those all of them are trending in the right direction, I believe, and that's a really good thing. So instead of just being one, all 4 are going in the right direction. Who's the most important one? Probably Bouchard. But the one I think that has both the two that have kind of let us down as far as scoring is the 2 guys that are scoring, Skinner and Arvidsson. So I think I'd put that as my duo, A and B.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for Bouchard to get his game back to where it was at last playoffs, or even in that vicinity, would be massive for this team. But if the question is whose game is trending in the right direction the hardest in this moment as they head towards playoff time, I don't know. I mean, Nuge's game, I'd say, has got to be right up there. Hey, Struddy. Skinner's been trending up for a little while here. Jeff Skinner has been. So for me, probably be one of those 2. Yeah.
Well, and Arvidsson has goals in 3 games. I mean, he was here to block goals and to dig, and it'll be interesting because now I'm guessing if both Leon and Connor aren't playing Saturday, we'll see that line back together. The one I'd like to see, but obviously won't be seen unless there's injuries. So Nuge with Podkolzin and Arvidsson, that's your top line again.
What have you thought of Walman here recently, Struds? We kind of do a Walman check-in every 3 or 4 games. We haven't done it for a few games here. How are you feeling about him? It was a return night for him tonight.
Yeah, coming home is always tricky. He wasn't there 1,000 years, but he was, long enough to make some friends. He's a really good skater. He's all over the ice. I like the way he passes it. I think defensively he can still be tighter. When he arrived, he was tighter defensively. And I'm going to go back and double down on my conversation about straight lines in your own zone, stopping and starting. And I think he's more effective that way. And I think he gets more block shots that way. So that's something I think he could get back to. And I do not believe that he and Bouchard will be together when the playoffs start.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Where are you at on Darnell Nurse?
Darnell, I think he's fine. He's out there. I think he's moving the puck well. It's the physicality. I'd still like to see a little bit more of that from him. But I think his defense's structure is as good as we've seen it. What do you see of him?
Yeah, I think he's been good. There's been a steadiness and a reliability to his game. Did you notice him trying? He actually went well out of his way, took a run at a guy right at his own blue line.
No, that was the guy that he thought. That's the one. Who is it? Dunn or something, or the young guy? That's the guy they thought hit Pickard in the head of the stick.
Yeah,
And that's why
so
he
he
ran
went
it.
at him. Yeah. So he went well out of his way to try and do that.
did.
I was paying a lot of attention to him in front of his own net too. And like Darnell Nurse has some, I think he's got the snarl back in his game in terms of like battling for his space and making the people around him uncomfortable right to the edge where he might get a penalty. I think he's doing that a little bit more now and just trying to make the Oiler paint a less comfortable place to be.
Yeah, and I think that, I actually, as I was watching, I know this isn't what you're talking about, I thought Bouchard was doing a decent job of that as well. There was a sequence where he had Celebrini in the corner, knocked him down, Celebrini got back up, and he put him in the wall. Like, he's a big, strong guy. I think people forget that, yes, he's skilled, but he's a big, strong guy. They miss Ekholm doing that. Kulak, he seems to find the physicality in his game in the playoffs, so I think we can let that one go. And then Jake Wallman, I think Jake has to kind of invest in that as well. And maybe he expresses it differently in as far as being in the way and blocking shots.
Yeah, for sure. Zuby, we got a rough timeline on Brownie. I know we started a little bit early tonight. So has he checked in at all? Or
he has checked in. I was expecting him a few minutes ago. So I'm no further update. So I am expecting him any minute.
Okay, sounds good. Well, listen, let's get to break. We'll tee up Brownie points in Struddy's world and take a lap as well. If we don't have Brownie by the time the break ends, Zuby, we can just take a couple of laps while we wait for him.
Love it.
But that, in the meantime, was Takeaways brought to you by Horizon Ag and Turf. Lots left here on the show, so stay with us on Got Your Back, presented by Play Alberta.
At HSE Core, we are dedicated to providing unparalleled safety compliance services to small and medium-sized businesses through our monthly health and safety program management, including managing contractor screening registries and core auditing services. Let your services help you maintain a safe workplace for you and your valued employees. Visit us at hsecore.com.
With over 18 years in the industry, Kelly Zaretsky and her team at Blue Summit Accounting deliver client-focused solutions and financial guidance for success in a simple and comfortable way. Whether it's for corporate or personal needs, Blue Summit Accounting can help with taxes, estate planning, financial services, bookkeeping, and more. Get in touch today. Email bluesummitacct@gmail.com or call 780-416-9662.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today. All right, time to take a couple of laps, brought to you by Acon. If you're a skilled tradesperson or construction professional looking for work in Western Canada, they want to hear from you. Join Acon by sending your resume to trades at acon.com. That is trades at acon.com. One of Canada's original industrial contractors. They're building some of the largest multi-year industrial projects in Western Canada, and you can be part of it. Send your resume to trades at acon.com. As we wish a fine evening to Mr. Rob Brown. How are we doing tonight, Brownie? How was the post-game show? 3 straight wins. People must have been talking sanity.
Yeah, well, everyone's happy. And we all know what it's like. When Edmonton wins, the city is happy. When the Oilers lose, well, then we sometimes have to tie up the laces, and it's a little tougher for them in the next day. But no, everyone's happy right now. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. I think that's what we can say about tonight's game.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get rolling on analysis, Brownie, we haven't had a chance to have you on. Struds and I were able to say a few words about Bruce McCurdy, the late Bruce McCurdy, who tragically passed away this week. And there's lots of great stuff about him on the stream here tonight. Lots of people paying tribute with some of their comments. Tough couple of days, buddy, for a guy that had a real nice presence in the Oiler blogosphere, in the Oiler podcast sphere, and somebody that fans definitely appreciated.
Yeah, I never had a chance to meet him, but I did. It's funny. There's people in Edmonton that I enjoy reading their stuff, and there's other that I don't. He's a guy that I actually, every time I read something, like, yeah, I see what he says, and I found him very knowledgeable. I found him very unassuming. Just, all right, here's my analysis, and take it for what it is. And every time I read it, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty spot on. So, absolutely unfortunate and terrible for the family, and I hope the family can get through this and realize right now he's up analyzing the hockey games in heaven and taking care of that. So he's got a blog up there right now. So it's too bad. And another wonderful person that's gone too soon.
Yeah, well said, Brownie. Appreciate that, buddy. So for part of taking a lap tonight, because we haven't had a chance to chat with you yet, Brownie, we'll get some of your analysis on the game here tonight. We talked a lot about the Leon Draisaitl injury. My sense is that he's going to miss a couple of games here, but I don't think we're dealing with anything too significant or serious. So moving past that, what did you like the most about 2 points against the team that, I mean, frankly, the Oilers should beat whether you have Draisaitl and McDavid or not, but they did.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's take Connor and Leon out of the lineup, and the Oilers are still a better team. This is a San Jose team that is built for 4 years from now, and they're going to have some really good players. They're skilled. Like, some of those kids are really, really good, but they're not the veteran team that the Oilers have. But it's one thing to know you should win, and then it's another thing to go about and do it. And they needed contributions from players that the expectations haven't been met this year. But those players came through tonight. So it was, I don't think it was pretty. I think it was gritty. It wasn't flashy, but it was businesslike. And the Oilers went about there. Not a lot of big mistakes. Pretty low event. And I think one of the biggest things you're getting out of this, again, is another quality start from Calvin Pickard, who doesn't always look pretty when he makes the saves, but he always seems to make the big save. So, it was 2 points that they needed and 2 points they found a way to get.
Just one more thought about the game from you, Brownie. The line of I don't know if it's a third line or the fourth line with Connor Brown and company. They had a really, really nice game today. Really, really good game. What do you think about their what kind of got them going?
Well, I think both Brown and Janmark have speed, a ton of speed. And Skinner, I don't think is fast, but I think he thinks the game fast. And that was a wonderful play. The Connor Brown goal, Skinner finding him at the right moment. You pass that too soon, the defenseman reads it or the winger reads it and he cuts it off. You pass it too late, it's offside. So Skinner just read the play. And I got to be honest, it was like if McDavid was skating into a mirror where the stick is the opposite. That's what I mean. Connor Brown looked like Connor McDavid there. Like, he went flying through these two defensemen like they're standing still. And then for a guy who at times, Connor Brown looks like he's trying not to score. He's got an open net, he misses the net. He's got an open net, he hits the goalie in the chest. That was a subtle, nice little move where his body went to the left and he left his stick in the puck and just kind of pushed it. Just left it over top of the glove of the goalie. So that was pretty. I thought that line played very well. I think they've got an identity in the offensive zone. They're dogged on the puck. I think come playoff time, that could be your fourth line. But what you like about it, I mean, Brown and Janmark both kill penalties. Skinner, I don't know where he's not going to be on a power play because they're not going to have a second unit come playoff time. But he's making, and here's what's funny. And we've all said we want more Skinner, and we've said that from game one of the season. I don't know if you heard Knobloch's comment tonight when they asked him about Skinner playing better, and Knobloch said, "Well, you know what? He has played a lot better since the guys have been injured." Now, we've talked about how he's been better since January 1st-ish. Yeah. He talked about that Skinner's been better, well, since, the guys have been injured, since we run into injuries. And that's where I'm like, I still don't know if he's got the trust of the coaching staff, is they've only noticed what he's done in the last 5 to 6 games, let alone the last 30 since January 1st.
Yeah, it's a great point, because we had been talking about an uptick in his play quite a bit before that. But yeah, hey man, I mean, sometimes we see things different in the coaching staff, but one way or another, I mean, he's got 15 goals. Is it 15 he's at now?
Yep.
Is that where he landed tonight? Was his 15th? Like, if I'd have told you that back in November, Struds, that he'll get to fit. He's only going to play this many minutes, but he's getting himself to at least 15. You'd have gone, holy, well, good on him, based on what it was, the way it was looking.
Yeah, he's making the most of what he's got, or what he's able to do. So I don't know. I want to see him play a little bit more, but it seems like he's destined to be a bottom 6 player on this team, or out of the lineup.
Yeah, like, what are we making of Kapanen? Getting a look up in the lineup with some decent players. Like, what are we making of that there, fellers?
Kapanen to me shows bursts of brilliance where all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, is he fast? But and I've played with guys like this, and I'm sure you two have, Struds, that looks brilliant, but at the end of the night, like, there was nothing. There was not it's 0-0-0 across the stat line. He's got a ton of speed, and he's trying to go, like, picking the puck up and taking it up, but there's not the production. And to me, if the playoffs start today, Kapanen for me isn't in the lineup.
You love the idea of him, right? You love the idea of it, the way he skates, the way he shoots, all that stuff. But you're right, there's just not enough juice coming out of all that squeezing, right? There's just not enough going on out there for that. And I don't know. But I get it. He's a big body, can skate. He's sometimes physical, but sometimes he's not.
You guys ever look at the stat sheet after the game and something just boggles your mind? You're like, how did I miss that?
Sometimes,
You see Brett Kulak's stats tonight? Have you guys looked yet? You haven't looked, Brownie? How many shot attempts for Brett Kulak tonight?
No, he was really going.
In all honesty, I would have said 4 or 5.
12.
Yeah. See, that
7
that
shots
shocks
on
me.
net.
Yeah.
12 shot attempts.
But having said all of that, Shogger, I don't know about you guys, but that camera seemed like it was 3 streets down the road in San Jose. That had to have been the furthest away from the ice.
Yeah.
I know the Oilers because how they escape. I couldn't tell a single San Jose Shark player's number. Like, they need to put some cameras a little lower in that rink for guys like me that can't see very well.
Well, that press box, although I've never been in it, is way up there. It's a long, long ways away from anywhere. Not saying the camera's there, but if you're standing up there, it's hard to see there's even a game going on down there.
Maybe Jack placed the cameras. I don't know if you caught, well, I know you wouldn't have caught Jack on Struddy show the other day, but it was like Jack had his camera. It was like he put it on top of the fridge and was like looking up at it for the whole segment, Struds. I was dying laughing watching that.
I know, it was odd. It was like he was in a hole, and the camera was up high, and they were looking like a jail cell or something.
It was like, yeah, guys. Yeah, it was like way down there.
Hey guys,
I think that's just a guy who knows his angles. I think that's what he was going for there. JL says, he has said this on the Struddy's World Stream too. JL says, nanny cam Jack. It looked like he was on the nanny cam.
It was something.
Really quickly, guys, as we were talking about Bruce McCurdy, one of the things they would do for every game is they do this deep dive and come up with their own stats, like scoring chance or contributions to scoring chances for and mistakes contributing to scoring chances against. And they love to deep dive these games and provide interesting statistics that you can't just get by looking at the box scores or even on a lot of the deeper analytics sites. So I asked Ray and Dregs this morning in honor of Bruce on the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. I'll put it to you guys too. Is there a stat, guys, that you wish was readily available? Like something that you would find really useful that isn't currently available? Like, man, I wish we had this statistic. Anything come to mind? Struds?
Go ahead, Brown, if you got one.
Yeah, to me, it's a simple one, is just 5-on-5 plus minus. Take away the shorthanded goals, take away the empty net goals, just simple 5-on-5 plus minus. Now, I'm sure that coaches and stuff have that in their dressing rooms and stuff, but to me, for the when I see I'll say Leon Draisaitl's plus such and such. Well, how many is that for empty net goals for? How many empty nets against? How many of them into shorthanded goals? I just simply tell me, as a 5-on-5 player, what can this player do 5-on-5? That's the plus minus I want to see.
Interesting.
I want to track D-men when they pinch, how often and how successful they are.
I know one that wasn't successful tonight for the Edmonton Oilers when he pinched.
Gomez says Leon thrown out of the face-off stat.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
That
Noah
would be a
Rinsky
really good one.
suggests slot chances passed up.
That's funny.
That's a pretty good one, actually.
Yeah, most empty net posts from Quaddy. One of the ones I'd like, and this would be really hard. It wouldn't be available for like 2 days after the game because it would take so long. I just want like a puck touch effectiveness stat. So for every time a player touched a puck, gets assigned a positive play, a negative play, or a neutral play. What do you do with the puck when you have it? And so that would create this like puck touch efficiency. How good are you when the puck is on your stick? How good a decision do you make? I would love just something that was simple like that. Just how good are you at making decisions with the puck?
Having said that, Shog, that one would, all that really would do, it would just reaffirm what you already know.
Sure.
Then again, most stats do. Most stats really do that. They just reaffirm what you see with your eyes.
Yeah. I mean, but it might allow you to take a player like Podkolzin and say, okay, the numbers aren't there, right? The offensive numbers aren't there, but did you know 83% of his touches are either neutral or positive, even though the stats aren't there? That only 17% of his touches result in something negative. So maybe a player who doesn't put up the numbers, maybe it would be a little bit more informative on players like that. So I don't know. Struds, you don't look convinced. You look bored.
No, I like it. It's an interesting thought. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to track. You could track it in real time as you watch the game. Just everyone's name down and just 3 columns. You just put a check mark every time they do it. Like, it's not how many players really touch. Every touch, but really, how many players really touch the puck over us? Yeah, I don't think it'd really be that difficult, right? Like,
no, except if you had one guy for one team, one guy for the other team, I think it'd be pretty easy to do.
Okay, but I'll do it on Saturday night, guys.
Yeah,
we'll tell you what.
Isn't our stat, man.
Yeah, I'll do my plus minus one. You do your stat.
All right, sounds good. Okay, as we wrap up taking a lap here, Struds, one item we got to get to. A lot of people curse us every time we bring up Dylan Holloway's name on the pod. Blues continuing to rock and roll, but wasn't great for Holloway tonight.
Yeah, he played 8 shifts in the first and he left with lower body injuries, and they said they wouldn't come back. That's the official line. So Dylan Holloway sounds like a lower body injury. They did get their 11th win in a row, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good hockey team that's going to get better. St. Louis. Colton Parayko is going to come back, though. Dylan Holloway injury would be huge. He's averaging like 1.6 points a game since the Four Nations. He is playing very, very good hockey for the St. Louis Blues. Yeah. That would be a big loss.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that was taken a lap, brought to you by our friends over at Acon. Okay, Zuby, go ahead and roll the fun music. Let's get to our brownie points, brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. If you're craving bold flavor and unbeatable quality jerky made with prime Alberta beef, that's made and sold right here in Canada, look no further. This April, the special is here, $97 for 3 pounds of jerky, and as always, free shipping Alberta-wide. Every purchase of the April special earns you a draw for some great items that they've got going on over at Hamel's. You got to check out their website to see what it's all about. We're also going to have some GYB merch in there as well. Visit albertajerky.com to see more. Brownie.
Well, let's start with -6. I'm taking 6 away from the injury bug that has hit the Edmonton Oilers right now as they prepare for the playoffs. Unless somebody sneaks back into the lineup for the huge game against the Kings on Saturday, they could be missing 6 playoff regulars. They're going to be missing 1/3 of their lineup. Draisaitl, McDavid, Kane, Frederick, Ekholm, and Skinner probably all will miss that game in Los Angeles. Huge game. We had this game circled and the other one against the LA Kings on home ice. The Edmonton Oilers, if they want to win home ice in the first round of the playoffs, may have to do it with 6 of their best players out of the lineup. I have 100 brownie points to the Canadian teams tonight. They were 100% on the evening. Calgary won, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Ottawa and Montreal solidifying their wild card spot. And Winnipeg and Edmonton continuing to push for better positioning in the playoffs. As of right now, if the playoffs started today, there would be 5 Canadian teams in the playoffs. That's good for hockey. I've got three brownie points to the Oilers secondary scoring. There was no 97 tonight. 29 was missing most of the night. And actually, I thought a fairly quiet night from Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. But Arvidsson, Brown, and Skinner, all slow starts to the season, all will be quickly forgotten if those 3 can continue to find the back of the net as this season finishes. I've got 30. This might be my favorite player in the National Hockey League. I got 30 brownie points to Colorado Avalanche, Cale Makar, who tonight scored his 30th of the season. The defenseman with 30. He is the first defenseman to do that since 2009. And I believe there's only been 9 in the National Hockey League that have scored 30. I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, but to me, he may as well start writing his name on the Norris Trophy. He is the best defenseman in the world right now. And my last one, I'm taking away 6 brownie points from New York Islander head coach Patrick Waugh, who after the Islanders lost, I believe it was their 6th straight loss, he called out veteran Anthony Duclair publicly. He called him god-awful. He was bad, and he's lucky to be in the lineup. I have no problem with anything he said if he would have said it in the dressing room or if he would have said it to his face. You do not take your dirty laundry and you do not put it in the press. Anthony Duclair doesn't get to talk about Patrick Waugh when he makes a poor coaching decision and puts that angle on in overtime against the Oilers. We don't call him out on that, do you, as a player? So I do not like when a coach calls a player out on publicly. And this, I had all of this written down, and I was furious that Patrick Waugh did it. And then today they make the announcement that Anthony Duclair has left the team for personal reasons, which I would think would have a lot to do with what Patrick Waugh said. Strud, you and I have been around a long time. There's nothing wrong with coaches calling out players privately. And if you don't like something happened, you say, we as a team, we weren't good enough. We need to do better at this. You don't say a player is god awful and he's lucky to be in the lineup. That's crossing the line. And to me, if I'm a player, I don't want to play for Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, I mean, he has been bad. I'll take the step that I think that franchise needs a reset, a complete reset. And that means there'll be changes in front office. I just think it's stale and they're not getting better. And I think there's a lot of frustration there. Maybe Patrick Waugh sees it now. That's the job he took mid-season to take over. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of that whole franchise, the way, the direction they have, or maybe don't have.
What if Brownie, he walks into the locker room, rips a strip off the player and says all those things to him, and then goes out and in the media kind of repeats the sentiment that his player has already heard? Is it different if he was willing to say it to his player?
No, you can go out and say, if they ask about, okay, what do you think about Duclair's game? We need more from him. We know he can be better. You don't say he's god awful. He's lucky to be in the lineup. No, you do that. Yeah. And you don't. I mean, Patrick Waugh's made bonehead plays as a coach. Now, can a player call him out? Can Bo Horvath go in the paper and say, hey, Duclair's he's been awful. Like I don't know why they signed this guy. No, those are things you can say in a dressing room. You don't go to the newspaper. I mean, it was awful. Patrick Waugh. To me, it's Patrick Waugh saying, okay, look over here. We've lost 6 straight games. And then it must be Duclair's fault. Don't look at the coach. None of this is my fault. So I think that's an arrogant play by Patrick Waugh to deflect from him and poor coaching decisions.
All right. Great addition of brownie points brought to you by Hamel's Premium Jerky. Struddy, prepare your speech. Zuby, roll the animation.
When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy. Gotta look good.
It is time for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products, Alberta's leading supplier of vinyl products. DLR offers premium materials for fences and decks designed to stand the test of time. Canadian owned and operated. They got locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Check them out online at dlrvinylproducts.ca. Actually had the brothers in town, had a little meeting today, 4 or 5 hours, going over a bunch of marketing stuff with them. So looking forward to some new ads and such in the coming months from the brothers at DLR Vinyl Products. Struddy?
I've been saying for a while now, the Oilers have to really go dig in for free agents, right? To college free agents and or European free agents. So they signed a guy today, David Tomasek, 6'1", decent size, 190, 195. Czech guy. He's been playing the last 2 years in the Swedish Elite League. And he can score. This guy's that's a pretty good league. He was the leading assist getter in that league. He was one of the, I think, second or third most goals in the league. So they get him. He's older. He's 29 years old, right shot guy. He's going to come over and he'll compete for a spot. I'm guessing you have to be a top 9 forward. I have a hard time envisioning him as a fourth line forward, but it brings you another option to try to push in. And if he can play for you for a few years, it's worth a shot. All it costs is money. The money isn't crazy. It can be hidden if required. But guys, I like this type of risk taking a little bit of bringing over a player who's older, hasn't played it. He did play in North America a little bit in junior, but I like this type of move by the Edmonton Oilers, and they need to do more because of their lack of draft picks and, quite frankly, any kind of a prospect pool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get too excited about players that lead those leagues in scoring because sometimes you see names, you're like, oh yeah, this guy was over here. He wasn't very good in the NHL. He's gone over there and found success. They do have to do it as a team because they have no one in the minors.
Mm-hmm.
They've got rid of a bunch of draft picks. So they have to swing and hope they hit with one of these. And we've seen, I've watched a couple games of late and I'm like, where'd this guy go? They was a signing from this league over in Europe. Came over a little bit older from another league over in Europe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you get excited, but I think as a fan or an analyst or whatever, you get hopeful. Hope that one of these works out and that one of these players become a player that you can count on to be a serviceable, middle of the roster type of player, because the Oilers cupboard, as Struds has mentioned many times, is pretty bare and their draft capital is pretty weak. So they do have to go after these college players and Europe players and hope one of them work out.
Yeah, it's like when you're in your window, you're going to have to be moving picks out, and we've watched it happen here for a number of years, and it's understandable. But the other end of that can be pretty vicious, and it can hit you pretty fast. Really, if you think on your best draft picks, if they're maybe a 2 or 3 year turnaround, well, it's not long before there's just holes in your lineup because of trades you made not too long ago. So you really have to lean on your staff and get creative and figure out ways to try and backfill here, Struds. And they have no choice but to handle business like they are right now and take some swings. It's about at-bats with quality players, but the staff's got to do the work. You got to pick the right guys. And then often you're negotiating against a bunch of other teams.
You are, but Stan Bowman, I believe, was the one who signed Pius Suter. Played with the Hawks for 1 year. I remember the first time I saw him, I like this guy. And he's improved every year, and he's having a career year with Vancouver. He's a really good player. So he may have a sense of what it looks like, what it feels like to bring guys like that over. And he also brought over Panarin, which, that worked out pretty well.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So, he and now I'm not saying this guy's going to go on to become Yari Curry, but you've got to take these risks. You have to take them because it's the same as drafting. It's just you're getting older players who are signed and they're coming to try out and make your team now. Now, if it doesn't work, he goes home. But they need to do this because they have Leon and Connor for another 8 years. They can't be going with 2-3 draft picks a year. They need to backfill somehow with some players that don't cost you anything. Yeah.
The one cool thing about this is you can draft a player and then you hope, and you don't find out for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years whether it works. These
Well
type of
said.
players, you find out pretty quickly. It might be
Yeah.
training
You know?
camp. It might be 20
Yeah,
games
some
into the
instant
season.
feedback.
So,
Yeah.
so it is kind of cool this way. It's like, and you find out about your scouting and
Yeah.
okay, which is because every scout, they when they find a player, they stick with that player and they push that player. So now as the GM, you're like, okay, Billy keeps giving me these guys that aren't working out. Well, Johnny over there, he's been very good. So you find out about your scouting staff both here and over in Europe.
Some skepticism on the stream. Bobo Fett says, where is it here? I missed that one real quick. To do that, they need locked-in talent evaluation, which has been an organizational weakness forever. Noel Rinsky follows up. Have you looked at the other window teams' prospect pools? No question in fair points. The Oilers are the most bare among them. When you couple having to trade all your good young draft picks away with, 4, 5, 6 years of pretty tough drafting where you're not hitting on a lot of the ones you are making, drafting and developing was not a strength under Ken Holland for sure. And now you're in this situation where the Oilers are looking for diamonds in the rough, and we'll see if they've come up with any. Okay. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. We got one more break, right, Zuby? And then we will come back and do Ask Us Anything in our scoreboard.
Correct.
That's what we got left.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Quick break. Brownie's going to hang in right till the end with us here. Scoreboard and Ask Us Anything's coming up.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
All right, time to take a look at scores around the league tonight. Our scoreboard is brought to you by Canadian Club. The all-new Canadian Club Classic 18-year-old high proof comes in at 58%. Whoa, their highest proof Canadian Club Classic to date. Full-bodied whiskey with aromas of caramel toffee, spicy vanilla, and rich oak with a butterscotch finish. Struds, what else?
Well, the ones that really matter to the Oilers here would be in their own division. And we're looking at the Kings get up on top of Utah 4-2. So that's a big one for them. And then the Golden Knights lose 4-0 to the Jets at home. So, maybe a little bit of a struggle recently for the Golden Knights. The Flames win 4-1 over the Ducks. And the one that's really interesting to me is that the Canadiens beat the Bruins 4-1. That's 7 losses in a row. 7 in a row for the Boston Bruins. Bottom of the Eastern Conference. Absolute, just right to the bottom. They traded everybody away and they're struggling. So I wonder what's going to happen this offseason. They have a little bit of draft capital with some of the moves they made, but man, that's a quick fall to the bottom of that division.
No kidding. My goodness. All right. We're going to be scoreboard watching every night through the rest of, the next couple of weeks here. Oilers keeping pace with the LA Kings. They'll be shorthanded, but a chance to try and make up some ground coming up on Saturday. Zuby, hop in, buddy. Let's wrap our DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center YouTube poll.
Yeah, we did say we were going to do that, didn't we?
We did.
Oh,
that's okay. Take your time.
No, hold on. I'm hitting every button. There it is. Nope, that's not the one I
Smash
want.
them all. Smash the buttons.
Where is it? There it is. Okay. And I'm going to end this poll, and that might take a second here to show up in the chat while it tabulates. Okay, here was the poll tonight. Who do you get the feeling might be saving their best hockey for the playoffs? It was close at the top. Victor Arvidsson coming out on top, 34% of the vote. Jeff Skinner, second, 31% of the vote. Evan Bouchard, third, 26% of the vote. So very even between those three. And Nuge, 7%. And of course, there were some write-in votes for Connor. And again, we talked about the expectation there and some all of the above. And as mentioned, they'd be in a pretty good spot if all four of those guys were saving their best. So almost 300 votes here on the stream tonight. So
nice.
Thank you.
You have a vote there, Brownie? What do you think?
I'm fearful that Skinner doesn't find his way into the lineup still. I still fearful of that. So I would go with Arvidsson because right now they got him slotted with Leon Draisaitl. And if that's the case, they need production out of someone playing with Leon.
Yeah.
What do you got the odds for you personally, Brownie? What do you got the odds set at in your mind of Skinner playing game one of the playoffs?
Well, if all six players that are injured play in game one, and I've said it right from the beginning, I do not believe he'll be in the lineup.
Yeah, you've been consistent.
I'd have him in the lineup. He would be in my lineup.
Yeah.
But I do not believe that. No. I don't think he'll play game one if all six guys come back.
Was at dinner tonight with Costco Murray. Struds, you might remember.
I
think season 2 Costco Murray first came up. My good buddy Murray, my neighbor, at Costco 7 days a week. So he's known as Costco Murray.
Great.
This is what it's like in my world, though. This is a regular occurrence for me. So we're sitting there having dinner, and he's a big fan of the podcast. And he says, I just got to say, Struds is just so witty. And so now I put my fork and knife down, and I just sit there because I know, all right, here we go. He proceeds to wax on for a minute and a half about how your blend of hockey knowledge and wit and how funny you are and your jokes are just always on point and this and that and this. And that. He gushes on and on and on. Right? Then his wife Amber starts talking about how amazing Rob Brown is and how he's so sneaky funny and all the little things that he sneaks in and stuff. And then Randine, who's next to me, is like, "You're funny too, hon. Like, you do a good job too." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." But just so you guys know, that this is a regular occurrence. I have to put up with people telling me how funny you two clowns are and how much they like you. It's annoying.
Thank you. Were you just thinking something mean about us? Why are you telling us that now? I mean, that's you must be guilty.
No, yeah. I don't know. I just think it's important you guys know I'm getting that kind of feedback.
That's very kind.
That's very nice of them.
Yeah.
That's very,
very
Did
by the
Randy
way,
also say you're really good settlers of the world? What's the game called? Settlers of the Carnival?
Settlers of Catan, dude.
One of the best players in the league.
You're one of the best. You're on the podium in your marriage. Like you were like one of the top 2 or 3 in your marriage.
Of all the people that play in the mountains, you're one of the best ones.
Quaddy says, "Get new friends, Shogger." I agree, Quaddy. The heck is that about? All right, let's get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. Founded in 1976, they're a full-line distributor providing quality wholesale electrical products for use in industrial, commercial, residential settings. Proudly owned and operated in Edmonton. Visit bjelectric.ca. I'm going to rest my voice and let you two handle the questions tonight.
Okay, a number of people bringing this up. We'll go with Paulie's version. He said the Oilers are league leaders in one goal games, 34-ish, with 15 of them being losses. I feel like it's slightly worrying, but I'm emotionally damaged from 2006 and 2004. What are your thoughts? And I think worth pointing out too how many overtime wins they have of those one goal games, which I believe are counted, and that's 3-on-3 overtime, and it's still hockey, but it's not like the playoffs. So any thoughts on that, Brownie?
Well, glass half full.
What?
They're comfortable in those type of games. So when they get into a playoffs, they're not going to be overwhelmed if it's a one-goal game going into the third period. Glass half empty, they don't put any teams out of their misery. and they allow teams to hang around.
Yeah.
And the Oilers got a lot of overtime wins this year, but they're 3-on-3. They don't do that in playoff time. So the worry would be you're allowing teams to hang in there, and that's where you're at the mercy of a good bounce, a good break, a bad bounce, a bad break, a bad call, a big save. So the teams that, I mean, you look at Vegas, they've got 12 or 11 more regular season or regular time wins than the Oilers do. They put teams away. And I think that would be one worrisome thing come playoff time is the Oilers haven't been able to put teams away this year like we've seen in the past.
Struddy, you got a thought on that? Or
Yeah, I chimed on another night, but I like it. I think it's important to feel comfortable in those moments and to understand that you can protect a lead in those times. So I'm all about it.
Okay. Pete Bauer says the entire team looks like they're waiting for the playoffs. When you look at how badly injuries hurt them in the finals last year, it's hard to fault them really. Do you think, Struddy, that the organization, the leadership of the players, somebody said after last year's experience, guys, we know what the goal is. Let's all be healthy. Let's be at our best. Do you think that would have been like directly addressed in the room?
I think that the hitting for sure. I think that they put the governor on that, but now is not the time. They're not holding back now. Like now they should be trending in the right direction because you can't get into the first game and say, okay, we got to start doing this, and this into it. So unfortunately, as they're trying to gear up, they're missing some really important elements of their group. So the guys that are in the lineup, I think there's a lot of guys playing really well right now, and you can see it. They're winning without so many good players in the lineup.
Yeah, I don't think no one said, hey, let's just wait until about 20 games left, then we'll really start trying. I think that, Arvidssons and Skinners and these guys come into the lineup that have struggled early in the season. They're not saying, hey, don't worry about it. We'll be ready come playoff time. So, no, I don't think it was talked about. I do believe this team has another gear. I just hope that they get all healthy and are able to find that gear sometime here in the next week or two.
Quaddy says, I don't know if he's taken some of our April Fool's Day joke to heart here a little bit too much, but he says, is anyone worried Pix is going to hit the wall with the quick turnaround in LA? Played hard tonight. Someone else talked about the hard style that he played, but it is a little bit interesting when in seriousness, you guys thought that if Rodrigue was going to get a start, it might be this game tonight, and he didn't. So is there a start? If they beat LA and they're 3-0, then on this road trip, then is there maybe a start for him in Anaheim, Brownie?
I think Struds and I were pretty adamant last podcast that we go with Rodrigue in LA and then again in Anaheim. And then maybe the first game out. I was a little surprised that they didn't go with Rodrigue tonight. I was. Yeah. I think with the game against LA, an afternoon game, and you know it's going to be Pickard and Skinner's not coming. I was a little surprised that Rodrigue didn't get this start. So is there a fear? I guess right now it's unknown because nobody knows how Pickard's going to react because he hasn't played this many games in a row and forever. So I think we'll be just as surprised on Saturday afternoon as all the fans watching as well.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice.
We'll end up going with him. You just watch.
Yeah, he might.
He'll start now after all this.
Yeah, that's a tough win. I think this will be like a playoff game because if the Kings can win it, I think it really helps them obviously track down Vegas, but push down the Oilers. So they'll bring their best.
So Sunch17 here with an interesting observation says in previous years, the Kings played the 1-3-1 and the Oilers figured them out. This year they've embraced a 1-2-2. How much of that system change might affect the Oilers in a rematch? Struddy?
Well, it's a little bit different, but they know they study the other team and they know what they're bringing. And I think that, they still had a decent forecheck when they decided to forecheck, but I think there's more forechecking going on. I think it puts, for me, more pressure on the D-men to make plays than they've seen in the past. Because if Kings couldn't get in, they'd even try. Now I think this year with this 1-2-2, they're maybe a little more willing to get in there and try.
Well, I think what they've proven in the past couple of years is what they did before didn't work. So you're allowing the Oilers to carry the puck out of their own zone. The Oilers, even with a better defense, that still is I mean, not a weakness, but their forwards are stronger than their defense. If you're going to beat the Oilers, you got to keep them in their own zone. So allowing them to leave is kind of silly. And that's one of the big reasons that the Oilers dispatched them in 5 last year is the Oilers never had to spend any time in their own zone. It was horrible coaching last year in the playoffs against the Oilers.
JL wanting to know, does Noah Philp get the call up for Saturday? Do they have room with if Dry's out? Is this a possibility?
I don't know who's playing well down there. It would be, I would imagine it would be a centerman since it was Leon that's getting hurt. I mean, the 2 players that I can think of is, well, actually, is Derek Ryan. I think, would not Derek Ryan come up?
Yeah, I think I haven't checked in with Hart Levine, but if the roster allows for it, then yeah, I would probably see Ryan coming up ahead of Philp. He got in a couple of games before and was half decent, so that might be the more obvious one.
All right, last one. Let's go in a different direction. Lauren Anderson on the JETS. Jets blank Vegas tonight with Comrie in goal. What is it that most hockey analysts do not recognize, or why is it that they do not recognize that the Jets are realistic Stanley Cup contenders? I think they do, but I wonder if there's a first-round exit last year after a pretty good season is hindering sort of the believability of the Jets being contenders. What's your thoughts on them, Struddy?
Skittish, because I thought last year they're going to roll a little bit in, and they got rolled. So, and unfortunately, they're having an amazing year here, but you're like, okay, we got to prove it to me in the playoffs, man. Like it does. And I think the Leafs are in the same boat. I really do. I think they're 2 teams that are in the same boat. And now, could the Jets roll all the way through? They could, but I'm skittish. I'm skittish to throw some cash down on that team, guys.
I agree. To me, I think the Colorado Avalanche are the best team in that division. I think the Dallas Stars are the second best team, and I think Winnipeg's third. Crazy. And that's not saying anything against Winnipeg, because I think the other 2 teams are great. The thing that I can tell you right now that Winnipeg does not want to do, and tonight's win was huge for them, they do not want the Dallas Stars catching them. Winnipeg does not want to have to play Colorado again in the first round. So I did see, though, that Ehlers left the game tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. They're already without Velarde. Again, the most important thing come playoff time is health. The Winnipeg Jets have had a fantastic season. I don't know if they can overcome both Velarde and Ehlers being out, and I have no idea how long those injuries are, but those are 2 big players in their team that they can't afford to be missing.
And isn't Heiskanen doubtful for the start of the playoffs too for Dallas? Like maybe you want to catch them early before they have him back.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Colorado Avalanche. They got fantastic goaltending. They have the best defenseman in the world. They got McKinnon up front. They've really revamped their team, and I think they did it in a really, really good way. That's a tough team to be that's going to be in the playoffs. And the biggest thing about them, they've been there before. They've won, so they know what it takes.
Yeah. All right. Great job, Zuby. Thank you very much. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by BJ Electric Supplies. And we're going to wrap the show tonight on a really nice, positive bit of feedback. Our play of the day brought to you by Gallery Dental, offering a full range of services designed to keep your smile healthy. Their experienced team providing personalized care with the latest technology, making sure you get the best treatment possible. Contact GalleryDentalYEG.com. Glad that you stuck around for this, Brownie. And hopefully our good pal Steve Taylor gets to hear this as well, because this is for all of us. It comes to us from in an email from a gentleman named Dennis. He says, "Gents, I just want to thank you for what you do and as well have done for me. In the last few years, I had become almost 60 pounds overweight and struggled to get motivated to do something about it. Last May during playoffs, I heard about your podcast. Sorry, I know it's 3 years. And since then, haven't missed an episode. Just about every morning since, I go walking, exercising, listening to Got Your Back, and have lost almost 50 pounds. I look forward to this year's playoff episodes. Keep up the good work, and thank you again. Trying not to sound overly dramatic, but your show has been life-changing for me." And that comes to us from Dennis. I read that today, guys, and I thought, wow.
Amazing.
That's pretty fantastic to hear.
That is really good. That's nice to hear. So, I mean, it's very imperative for the Oilers to have a long playoff run so we can do more podcasts so that this gentleman can have more long walks in the morning.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think you should invite him over to use your elliptical. right? You guys could go do it together.
Yeah, you can get a good workout on there. You know what, Struds? One of these days, you're coming over, and I'm going to run you through a workout on the elliptical, and then we'll compete in the golf simulator in whatever order you want.
Right.
And I don't know what, we'll put something on the line. Like, you got to stop complaining about both if I win, or something like that. Yeah. But you'd be surprised. You can get a good sweat on the elliptical. Brownie, are you with me on this? You're an elliptical guy too, right? At the gym?
No.
But how can anyone walk 40 steps for 18 holes on a golf sim after doing 30 minutes on the elliptical? Like, you're talking crazy here, buddy. It's like climbing Everest.
Is that the one that you got the arms go at the same time?
No, they're going forward.
And your legs are like the swinger.
Full body workout. Yeah, it's a full
That's
body
like trying to
workout.
climb Everest with no oxygen. Very difficult.
All right, get out of here, you donkeys. Good job tonight, boys. Great to chat with you. Look forward to Saturday night's podcast after the game against the LA Kings. Zuby, great job tonight. And thanks to all of you for joining us on the live stream, downloading us in podcast form. We're in the stretch drive here. We're going to keep churning out the content game after game as we hurtle towards the playoffs, and we're thrilled you're along for the ride. Big thanks to Play Alberta, and we'll chat in a couple of days. Night, everybody. Brownie, I swear you said you were on the elliptical.
He's gone. He didn't even stick around for your comment.